Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is @ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.
Hi there, welcome along. Many thanks for tuning in to the Racing Post Golf Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and as usual, I've got Steve Palmer and Paddy Power's Ian McLaughlin with me to look ahead to. It really is a fantastic week, this one. We've got the Sky Sports British Masters down at Walton Heath. Fantastic old venue that hasn't hosted tournament golf for a long, long time. But it is a cracker of a lineup, arguably the best outside the British Open that we've had all year. It really, really is strong. Justin Rose among the front runners for that one, and of course the hero of the moment, Francesco Molinari. The US Tour, meanwhile, heads off to Malaysia for the... Steve, is it the CIMB Classic or the CIMB Classic?
I go for CIMB. I'll go for CIMB, yeah, I wouldn't like to say.
We've got that, and we've got a very hot favourite there in Justin Thomas. So the lads will be telling us who to back, who they fancy, whether there's any top derivative markets, match bets, whatever. We'll start off, though, with the questions. I couldn't say they're flooding in, but they've trickled in. We've got some good ones. And let's start off with DJ McGarry, who says, did Tyrrell Hatton and Tommy Fleetwood's exploits at Le Golf National the previous week catch up with them last weekend? Because obviously, Steve, we had the unusual situation there of both 54-hole leaders folding like a wet Argos on the final day. It doesn't normally happen that they both get beat, but Tyrrell Hatton and Brandt Snedeker both did that. So do you think, Steve, that the overzealous celebrations after the Ryder Cup win ultimately cost Hatton and Fleetwood? I mean, they both finished pretty close up, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say. I mean, Hatton had a 4 over par back 9 on Sunday. You know, he just suddenly lost the plot. So, he looked like a man who did run out of steam. I think the wheels started to come off for Hatton on the 10th hole. He found a pot bunker off the tee, and his reaction after getting out of the bunker was quite telling. I mean, he's known for his temperament anyway, but he launched his club at his bag. He went desperately searching for his cup of coffee. And he looked really, really angry with life. And at that point, he's still miles clear. So, I think, you get more irritable when you get tired, don't you? I mean, I suffer from that. I'm sure you suffer from that. And he was even though he was still miles clear. Even though he was still miles clear at that point, he looked like he was ready to just go into a full-on Hatton rage. So, I think for Hatton, it did catch up with him. But for Fleetwood, no, Fleetwood seems to have a very good engine on him, didn't he? He finished quite strongly. But, I don't know. Last week, I felt sorry for anyone who backed Tyrrell Hatton last week. I felt sorry for anyone who backed Brandt Snedeker. I think last week showed how difficult it is to back golf winners, didn't it? I mean, I'm sure there was somebody out there, maybe Paddy Powers, Oscar Compile will tell us in a minute, who had the Hatton-Snedeker double. They both had real good profiles pre-event, probably very popular with a lot of punters. If you had this Hatton-Snedeker double, you'd be thinking, what's this game all about? Neither of them wins. They both had 5-shot leads on Sunday, and neither of them won.
Astonishing. So, Ian, who would you rather have a beer with, Tyrrell Hatton or Tommy Fleetwood?
Oh, Tommy Fleetwood every day of the week.
He looks great, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks like he's just a good, solid fella. Like with Hatton, as Steve has mentioned, can be a bit... If he gets a few many jars in him, the rage could overflow as well. He might get a bit squabble in the pub. Like, I don't want that. So, yeah, Tommy Fleetwood for sure.
Mind you, I saw a feature on Hatton when they went to his local golf course somewhere in the home counties, and he seemed a really nice fella, I've got to say. But he just gets a bit volcanic under pressure, doesn't he?
Absolutely,
we all know that feeling, don't we?
You never know, but he lives a wonderful life now, doesn't he? A multi-millionaire, and you just think just be a little bit calmer, because I don't think it helps him. He says that being angry helps him. I'm sure it doesn't.
I think temperament, Steve, is probably the difference between. There's probably loads of fantastic golfers selling Mars bars now in their club shop, and the reason they are selling Mars bars rather than earning fortunes on tour is that they just can't control themselves, can they? When the chips are down.
Yeah, this is it. This is why I never made it in the game.
Oh, well. Plus the fact you weren't good enough, I guess. Ian, are you good? Who'd win in a match bet between you two on the golf course? What do you play off, Steve?
Well, I used to play off 9 as a youngster, and now I play off about 22.
And Ian?
I was 4 as a youngster, played about 12 at the moment.
Oh, so Ian should have the edge.
Yeah, odds compilers get more time in their hands, don't they?
That's true.
Ian, question for you from James Bryant. How good can Lucas Paragard be? He seems to have the game and the temperament to be a major player.
I'd tend to think that he could go very, very far in the game. Like, he's only turned 27 in August, obviously getting a win in a pretty strong field last week at the Alpha Dunhill. He's a great swinger at the golf club. I think the only thing that can hold him back from really going to the top 20, top 10 in the world is his putting. His putting can be a little bit sketchy at times, but he's an elite ball striker, and I always like these ball strikers. Like, ball strikers going to take you as far in the game as it can, and you can obviously have hot weeks on the greens that get you 2 or 3 wins a year. So yeah, I think he can contend. Maybe give it another 3 or 4 years to be a major contender. Obviously, he's won at St Andrews. St Andrews is coming up on the road again the next couple of years, so maybe he's one to flag up for the next couple of years at St Andrews at the Open.
Okay, and
he's putting better this year, isn't he, Ian? I'd just like to add, I think Bedregard's changed his putting slightly. He seems much more positive. He's really running the ball at the hole at the moment, and he's getting results. I'm madly in love with Lucas Bedregard. I am, but I think his putting's on the up. I mean, his last 15 starts, he's posted 8 top tens. I mean, he's getting consistency, and that includes a win, a second, and a third. He has to be on your radar for this week.
Okay. And Ian, just on last week, was it a bookies weekend or a punters weekend?
It was a bookies weekend for sure. Hatton wasn't a poor result. Paragard was obviously a lot better than the two. I think Fleetwood would have been the stinger for us. And then in America, Snedeker was a slight loser, and obviously Kevin Tway would have been on back. So yeah, it was a good week for us overall.
Excellent, jolly good stuff. Right then, we will be back looking at the US Tour event next.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's very much been the case throughout 2018 that the European Tour event has played a very poor second fiddle to what happens in America, but that is not the case this week. So we're treating the US Tour preview as very much an hors d'oeuvre to the main course, which is the Sky Sports British Masters. But we'll do the American event first, and Justin Thomas dominates the betting. Ian, give us Paddy Power's latest show.
Yes, we're very favourable 7 places this week in the CIMB Classic. Justin Thomas has the betting at 9-2, Ryan Moore 12-1, Billy Horschel 14-1, Xander Schauffele 14-1, Paul Casey 18-1, Gary Woodland 20-1, and 22-1 bar.
My first question to you, Steve Palmer, is Justin Thomas. Do we lump on, or do we avoid like the plague, or do we go somewhere in between and treat him with respect?
I think we treat him with respect, but we don't back him. I mean, he's 60 under par for his 3 spins around this track. That's obviously an incredible record, but there's three reasons maybe to ignore the really short prices about him this week. They've changed the course slightly. They've ripped up the Paspalum grass. It's been replaced by Bermuda grass, so new fairways, new greens, so a slightly different course than the one he's conquered. He's been having a little problem with his wrist, a little bit of tendinitis in his wrist. I guess that could flare up at any time. It's a course where birdies are plentiful. I'd rather back the best players on difficult courses where their class will out. But this is a track where everyone should be making birdies. So the short price about Thomas were off-putting this week. Okay, and Ian, what's your approach going to be as far as Thomas is concerned?
Yeah, probably look to take him on with a little bit of respect. Won't be massively getting after him, but he won't be involved in my staking plan anyway.
Okay, right, well, let's see who is involved in the lad's staking plan. Steve, your main tip is?
My main tip is Baihun Hun-an. He's a Korean who should love the conditions this week. He likes plenty of room off the tee. He's got lots of power, and his main strength is his iron play. He's deadly with his irons on approach, and I think this course is ideal for him. He'll set up loads of birdie chances. And as I say, the greens are new, and if new greens can be a leveller. They take time to bed in. I don't think anyone will be making lots of putts this week, and Anne's putting weakness may not be as exposed as it normally is. I think it's his tee to green excellence which will prove decisive. He's played there once before, and he closed with a 67, which was betted by only 5 players in the field. So looked to me like he quickly worked out how to score well at TPC Kuala Lumpur, and. Big fan of Anne, general 33-1 shot. Yeah, this is a class act who's had a little quiet spell. I mean, he was US Amateur Champion at the age of 17, Challenge Tour winner in 2014. You must remember him winning the BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth, Bruce, 6-shot runaway victor in 2015.
Nope.
And then he's had a little quiet spell where he's been seeking this US Tour breakthrough victory, and he's come very close. He's lost a playoff twice. Most recently, the Bryson DeChambeau in the Memorial. Must remember that one, Bruce. In June, Bryson DeChambeau beating Benny Ann in a playoff.
No,
we were on DeChambeau.
Honestly, my memory's just abysmal. The only playoff I can think of with DeChambeau was with McAvoy, where he very rudely didn't give him extra warmth with the handshake, did he? No.
Well, DeChambeau beat Ann in a playoff, and Ann's been very unfortunate to run into really good players edging him out. So I think his US Tour win will come. And he had a nice little warm-up on the Asian Tour before this one, 8th in the Donghai Open. And, to cut a long story short, Byung-Nan is going to win this week.
OK, so Steve's put a very oriental twist to his name there. But basically, if you're looking down the list on Paddy Power's website or any other bookmaker who just wants to see Anne. And, Steve, how much will he win you as things stand?
Anne. I think he's winning me about £10,000 at the moment.
Are you sensible this week or gung-ho?
More interested in the British Masters, so a bit more gung-ho on the British Masters. But, the CIMB Classic, a little bit of a tricky one.
Okie doke. Ian, who's your main fancy for the CIMB Classic?
Main fancy is Keegan Bradley. Back in the winners' enclosure after a barren 4 years of victory in the BMW Championship at the start of September. Had a minus 21 winning score, so obviously knows how to make birdies and win, which he has to do this week. Looks to have regained confidence with the putter, the one club that has held him back since the anchoring ban was introduced. Has an excellent record at the event in 4 appearances, 10th in 2013, 6th in 2016 and 2nd last year. I feel he's a better player now than he was last year in terms of he's got a win back under his belt. His confidence would be very high, and so at 25-1 he'd be my main bet this week.
Jolly good. And Steve, who else do you like?
Next best is CT Pan. That's what he likes to call himself. Cheng Sung Pang, CT for short. Another player who should be comfortable in Kuala Lumpur. He's a Taiwanese youngster. He spent a lot of time in his homeland in the build-up to this tournament. So he's nicely acclimatised. And he's been threatening a maiden US Tour title a lot in the last couple of months. He finished 2nd in the Wyndham Championship. He was tied for the lead on the final hole and made a double bogey, if I remember rightly. He finished 4th in the Dell Technologies Championship after that. Good pedigree, former world #1 amateur, hits it very straight. And these are conditions that suit him. Finished 17th on his CIMB debut last year, 4 under par rounds, and he's a much better player 12 months on. He's 55 places better in the world rankings since then. OK, so we've got Anne and we've got Pan. Who else have we got? Steve. Steve, we've got Lee. Sorry, that doesn't rhyme.
You're going very long surnames this week. Is your biro running out of ink or something?
Danny Lee, another former world #1 amateur. He finished 10th in the Safeway Open on Sunday, and he looks like he's got his act together again. This is another player that from day one, he's got superstar written all over him. Won the US Amateur at 18 years of age, won on the European Tour as an amateur. And he's won on the US Tour, won the Greenbrier in 2015, he's won on the Web.com Tour. So, this is a class act, getting his game together again, and he's course proven. He's got 3 pieces of very encouraging form at the track.
OK, who else?
And Cameron Smith, CIMB Classic form figures of 5.37.5, so loves the course. He's based in Florida, so that switch to Bermuda grass, he'll be quite comfortable with that.
OK.
Recently posted 2 third-place finishes in the FedEx Cup playoffs. So, you got Anne, Pan, Lee, Smith, all quite short ones. But then we get to a very long one. So you better get that biro ready. Kiradekafi Barn Rat.
Oh, the Barn Rat.
The Barn Rat. Barn Rat's very excited this week. This is his first event as a US Tour member. And he couldn't have wished for a better venue to get going. He loves TPC Kuala Lumpur. Finished 3rd there in the 2010 Malaysian Open. Won the Malaysian Open in 2013 at the same track. And finished 3rd in his only previous CIMB appearance. So he's course proven and could easily bounce back to top form and given his comfort levels on this track. You won't see a more excited player in the field than Kiradekafi Barn Rat this week.
Have you ever seen an interview with him, Steve, or anything? I don't really know much about him, but he looks a jolly old chap.
He's a jolly old chap. Well, he does a bit of monking, doesn't he? He does a bit of monking in his spare time.
What do you mean a bit of monking? It's not like plastering or grouting. Being a monk is a full-time lifestyle.
Well, no, it's not for him. He can't afford to be a full-time monk. But when he gets a bit of downtime, nothing he likes more than getting in the old temple and
really,
and it's just soothing.
See, that's the temperament thing, isn't it? Maybe you should try that.
He's got a fantastic temperament.
Do you fancy that? Going to live in a monastery for a bit?
I'd love to. Yeah. You're going to give me a couple of months off?
You'd actually like being a Trappist monk, wouldn't you? Whenever I used to work, when you used to work in the office, you hated people whistling more than anything, but you hated people speaking, didn't you?
I did. I just thought we had to get the job done. I didn't like office banter.
Oh.
I'll try being a monk one day. But the Barn Rat is a cool customer. When you hear him interviewed, obviously his English is not fantastic. It's getting better every time. But the one thing you do take from him is how content he is and calm. He never loses due to pressure.
Brilliant. So we've got Anne, Pan, Lee, Smith, and Afid Barn Rat. Yeah.
That's the 5, yep.
Okay, your main tip is Keegan Bradley. Ian, who else are you tipping for this?
I have two more. First one is Anirban Lahiri. Had a relatively quiet 2018 season, 6th in the Bridgestone Invitational and a 9th the Travellers Championship being the highlights. Has a great affiliation to Kuala Lumpur, winner of the Malaysian Open here in 2015, and in his last 3 appearances at the CIMB, he has finished 21st, 3rd and 10th. I thought 6-6 to 1 looked more than fair this week. And the second one is actually Kiradesh Afi Barnard as well. Like Lahiri's had a quite enough 2018. Also has good memories of Kuala Lumpur. I don't think Steve mentioned he was a Malaysian Open winner here in 2013 and was 3rd in his only appearance in the CIMB later that same year. Course form, being familiar with the conditions, is obviously going to be very important this week. Afi Barnett would have played these conditions probably more than anyone in the field this week, and I thought he was worth an each way play around 80 to 1.
Okay, you go with CIMB. I reckon you're probably right, Ian. Any other bets you like, lads, on the old derivatives, Steve? Anything else?
No, all on the outright for me.
Anything for you, Ian? You quite like a top 20 normally, don't you?
It's more so for the British Masters. My staking plan's quite small this week for the CIMB. I'm not one I'm too enamoured with, to be honest.
Right, let's push our starter plate away and await the main course.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back, Bruce Millington, Steve Palmer and Paddy Powers. Ian McLaughlin looking ahead to a really exciting week down in the Surrey Hills. It is Walton Heath hosting the Sky Sports British Masters, a fantastic tournament. I think they're going to get decent weather as well. I hope so. I'm going on the Saturday. I'm very excited. It is a great field, as you will see when Ian reads out Paddy Power's latest betting.
Yes, so we're 8 places this week in the British Masters. Justin Rose has the betting at 7 to 1. Francesco Molinari 15 to 2. Tommy Fleetwood 10 to 1. Thorbjorn Olesen 22 to 1. Matthew Fitzpatrick 22 to 1. Lucas Bjerregaard 25 to 1. Shane Lowry 25 to 1 and 28 to 1 bar. This
is fantastic, Steve, isn't it? Are you excited about this?
Yeah. It was great when the British Masters came back on the schedule, and it seems to get better every year. And
this is better than the lineup for Wentworth, virtually, isn't it?
It's not far off, and they're playing in your back garden.
Yeah, I'm going Saturday. I'm very much looking forward to it.
I think Jeremy Chapman told me he's going on Saturday as well, so you could perhaps have a picnic with him.
Oh, that'd be even better.
He rung me up. Yeah, he's taking his grandson down there, so yeah, you'll have a well of a time.
Should be good. It's a lovely course, that. Have you played it, Steve, Walton Heath?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've played it a few times. Yeah, it's a very, very testing terrain, isn't it?
They'll have they have gorse and heather. It's very picturesque, and the greens apparently are lightning.
No, they're playing a combination of the old and new courses this week, aren't they? They've got 16 holes from the old and 2 from the new. But they're both got a beautiful heathland layout. Very, very flat, tight, heavily bunkered fairways. But yeah, the gorse bushes, you've got to stay out of them. I mean, the times I have played there, I mean, the old...
You go in there, you break your wrist, don't you?
The Titleist share price has rocketed up. Yeah. I lost loads of balls when I played there. Yeah, you just got to give up, haven't you? You can't find them, let alone play them. And the greens are quite fast and undulating as well, so it's a proper test.
Do you fancy coming along on Saturday, Steve?
I got the in-laws down for the weekend, so
more reason, one might say.
I must entertain. I must do some entertaining, but I'm hoping to catch you all. I might see you on the telly.
Well, yeah, grinning like an idiot or getting a ball smacked on the top of Miss Swede. And Steve, so basically from the description, it's not really the guys who like to wield the big dog who are going to thrive here, is it?
No. You just got to be a controlled golfer. I mean, there's certain holes where you do have to wield the big dog because there's sort of enforced carries. But you want a controlled golfer. You want tee to green solidity.
Okay.
And there's no better man for that job than. You ready for the main tip?
I'm not actually. I'm going to go with Ian first. We'll hold that.
I'm sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine. But Ian, you can go first. Who's your main fancy this week?
Main fancy, they're all big prices this week, and the first one is Brandon Stone. Put him up on the podcast last week for the Alfred Dunhill links. Put up an excellent showing, finishing 10th. Was in the top 5, unfortunately, before he went double bogey to finish in the top 10. That was only his second start since the PGA Championships. Was coming into this section of the season very fresh. Should be suited to the test of Walton Heath. Has a link style feel to it, as you mentioned. A lot of pop bunkers, a lot of gorse bushes around. His 2 best finishes this season have been at tournaments played on link style courses. Obviously the Scottish Open winner in July and that 10th last week at the Alfred Dunhill. I think he's primed for a big finish of the season, and quotes of 60 to 1 look more than fair this week.
Oh, I like that. You're not pissing about with the big prices though, Steve, are you? Who's your main fancy?
No, Brandon Stone's a lot more exciting than my one. Francesco Molinari, I think he's a fantastic. I was thrilled to get double-figure prices this week. I did not expect that. I thought Molinari should be favourite. Yeah, he's basically been a golfing god for 5 months. He's tackling a course which is tailor-made for his talents. I mean, it's well documented what he's been up to. He won the BMW PGA Championship at a tight Surrey layout in May. You know, that's it's a similar test to what he's facing this week. He's won the Quicken Loans National by 8 shots for a US Tour maiden victory since then. Then he emerged triumphant from an open leaderboard which was packed with star names. You know, what he did at Carnoustie was breathtaking. And then he's got more in the tank. He scored 5 points from 5 matches in the Ryder Cup. I mean, what Molinari's been doing is almost superhuman. He's just been unbelievably good. He suddenly, in the middle of the summer, he suddenly developed like a heart of a lion. Because in the olden days, we all knew Molinari was good, but his temperament was questionable, and he didn't hold many putts. But
what happened there? Did Dennis Pugh get hold of him, do you think, and say, right, come on, give him a bit of a Graham Taylor style talking to?
I don't think it was Pugh. He spoke to some other fella. There was a sort of professor of psychology that teaching him how to deal with the really bad stuff better. I can't remember his name, but I was following him on Twitter, and he was promoting him on Twitter. There was a fella that helped him get over the bad stuff better. He's now got the heart of a lion now, and his putting is he holds out with much more confidence now. And I think Walton Heath's perfect for him. It's right on his doorstep. You talk about it being a home game for you. It's a home game for Molinari. I mean, he's a Londoner now. He's a West Ham fan. It's a very, very short trip for him. His practice base is the Wisley, which is just half an hour up the road. I think it's only complacency which can stop Molinari this way. I don't think fatigue's an issue. A lot of people saying fatigue, being put off by fatigue. He's had a week off. He sensibly skipped that Hero Challenge thing at Canary Wharf on Tuesday night. He didn't want anything to do with that, so he's nicely focused on the proper event. And have
you strapped the betting boots on good and proper, Steve? Yes.
Molinari is the main bet of the week. Couple of bags. We're going in for 20.
Lovely. Good luck.
And he previously qualified for the US Open in the 2009 qualifier at Walton Heath, so we know he can perform on the track. It's not just a suspicion.
You've convinced me, yeah? OK, Ian, who else do you like this week? Hopefully you've got another bevy of big-priced golfers.
I do. I'll run through them. First one is Richie Ramsey. Not having the best of seasons, but was showing signs that his game is close enough to contending on a week. 12th place finish at the Maid of Denmark 3 weeks ago, being the highlight. Delving deeper into his stats, his long game figures look very solid, and it's just his short game that's holding him back from contending for a title. Was 8 in the British Masters at Close House last year. A course not too dissimilar to Walton Heath. Has also qualified for the US Open a couple of times at Walton Heath with numerous rounds of 68 or better. With all the above, I feel he's worth a play around 150 to 1. Next one is Lee Slattery. Having a solid summer, 3rd at the Italian Open and 4th at the Czech Masters being the highlights. Was a good 20 at the Alfred Dunhill Links last week. Ranked 3rd in driving accuracy and 1st in greens of regulation for the week. As Steve mentioned, your ball striking is going to be very, very important this week. Had a surprisingly poor week on the greens. He's usually excellent on them. If he continues those tee to green stats and his putting returns to his normal high standard, he looks an excellent bet this week around 150 to 1. And the last one is a player close to my heart. It's Harold Varner. Taking a flyer on him this week. He went well for 67 holes at the Safeway Open. Was 3 off the lead before a poor final 5 holes, dropping to a 14th place finish. Struck the ball great all week and was first in scrambling also. I personally would have him 101 in this field, so he'll complete my quartet for the week.
I love a bit of Harold Varner III as well. So he might be one of the players I follow around on Saturday. That could be good. Why don't you like any of the shorties in? Is there a particular one that you want to be against?
Not particularly. Just looking at these end of season events, especially this time of year after a Ryder Cup and stuff like that, I wouldn't take them on massively, but I wouldn't be backing them with too much confidence myself. I'm kind of looking for guys the likes of your Stones, your Slatteries, kind of either guys coming in fresh or guys who are showing good signs that their game is ready to finish the season off well. Like, I respect Molinari at the head of the market. I agree with Steve. I probably made him close to Fav as well. Rose is doing a lot of hosting this week. It can be quite draining on you. Fleetwood's had a very long last 3 or 4 weeks. He played the Alfred Dunhill last week as well. Yeah, so I was looking for guys at bigger price who I thought were gains were slowly coming into form or coming to the tournament fresh, really. Okay,
so listen, if anyone's sitting there with a pen and paper and they think they might have missed one or two of yours, just run us through the names again, Ian.
Yeah, sure. Brandon Stone, Richie Ramsey, Lee Slattery and Harold Varner.
OK, and Steve, most of the eggs are in the Molinari basket, but not all of them. Where else have you placed an egg?
No, that's right. I got a 50 to 1 next best, and then I got 4 at massive prices. So, it could be an Italian 1-2 this week. Andrea Pavan is looking increasingly comfortable on the European Tour. It was due to happen. He was a 4-time champion on the Challenge Tour, and then he's made his breakthrough on the European Tour by winning the Czech Masters at the end of August. He's finished in the top 20 in 5 of his last 6 starts. Finished 5th in the Dunhill on Sunday. Very accurate, so should enjoy the Walton Heath Challenge. And then looking at the ream of US Open qualifying form, which I have done, he qualified in 2014 at Walton Heath for the US Open, so he's proven on the track. And then I got 4 even bigger prices. Jason Scrivener performs very well in the win. There's going to be a lot of breeze forecast. This week. He's very accurate. Scrivener, well suited to Walton Heath. Qualified for the US Open there in May. He's just won on the Australasian Tour. He won by 6 shots in November, and now he's looking for his European Tour breakthrough. Oliver Fischer also qualified for the US Open through the Walton Heath qualifier. Essex boy. 5 of the last 10 British Masters winners have been English. That's an interesting stat. I think Fischer is the best value Englishman. Fired his round of 59 in Portugal last month, swinging very well. 2 more that haven't got any course form, but I just think they're playing so well and they'll be suited to the track. Marcus Kinhult and Thomas Detry. Kinhult, accurate Swedish youngster, finished 12th at Wentworth in May, key piece of form. 5th in the French Open, 4th in the Portugal Masters, 20th last week in the Dunhill. I think the Kinhult breakthrough victory is close, and this is a good track for him. Thomas Detry finished the summer very strongly. 13th in European Open, 13th in the Nordea Masters, 7th in the Made in Denmark, 3rd in the KLM Open. So he's building up a head of steam, and I think he'll take a shine at Walton Heath. It's interesting that his only Challenge Tour victory came in Oxfordshire. 12-shot victory in the Bridgestone Challenge. 12-shot victory in Oxfordshire on the Challenge Tour. So, the southeast of England holds fond memories for the Belgian.
Okay, brilliant. He does owe you, though, doesn't he, Steve?
Yeah, but he's getting there. Thomas Detry will become a European Tour champion, and this is the sort of course that I like him on.
Okie doke. Is there anything else you want to put up, lads, in the top markets or match bets or anything else, Ian?
One I really liked was Slattery, top 20 finish at 11-2. I think he's one who'll hang around all weekend, and that looks a big price to me.
And Steve?
Got no money left, mate. It's very rare for me to have 6 in one and 5 in the other. That's 11 selections.
I know it's going to be quite an expensive cross doubles mission this week. I've got to tell you that.
Yeah.
You've got to do them, haven't you? Because if you don't, this is one of the ones where it doesn't.
Yeah. No, they're big prices, so you don't need to go crazy, I guess.
All right, lads, well done. If you are only having one golf bet this week, what would it be? Steve Palmer.
I would have the Francesco Molinari Bayonne Nunnan each way double.
Okay, that's fine. And Ian.
The Keegan Bradley, Brandon Stone each way double.
Lovely. Okay, thanks, chaps. We're back next week with another golf postcast. We've got football postcast tomorrow, and I'll be back on Friday looking ahead to a great weekend of racing at Newmarket and elsewhere on Saturday. Do join us for that. And remember, if you enjoy these shows, please do rate, review and subscribe on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes or on any other platform you're listening to us. Until next week, goodbye.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.